how I grew 16-inch arms at 16 years old. No say, I must say.
This is a video of me at 13 years old flexing my arms when arm day used to be every day.
Calm, calm,
And now this is
calm.
me in that exact same shirt at 16 years old, as if Johnny Sins were
Let
trying
me
on a
say like a
size.
13.
And now this is a video of me at 13 years old flexing my arms when
Oh
arm day
gosh, man.
used to be every day. And now
Which
this is
me
me
define it
in that
at
exact same shirt
13.
at 16 years old, as if Johnny Sins were trying on a size small whitey tighties. My arms used to be one of my weakest muscle groups to now being probably one of my best. And the catch? I barely even trained them. So before I even get into any of this stuff, we first need to understand
Barely
how to
train them
program
and
arm
them so
workouts
big.
into your workout routine. People have always believed that blasting volume would do the trick, but really that just leads to unnecessary fatigue and burnout. What worked best for me is
Yeah. One bag of volume. No. When we did just start, we did even ever like one bag of volume ever. Like for real. No, I'm gonna take me ever like one bag of volume. We did it one time though. Remember one time me da do 5 set incline and then 5 set flat bench every time with the chest. What me I do 5 set for? Like regular and no like strength training, none of that, no, just some regular shit. I don't know where that for. But what you must say? I never agree though.
training my arms 2 to 3 times a week with only 12 sets of isolation, 6 sets of triceps, and 6 sets of biceps. Now what's unique about the arms is that they actually recover pretty quickly, so I like to hit them every other day. So on Monday, I'll do 6 sets of arms, then on Wednesday, I'll do 2 sets of arms, and then on Friday, I'll do 4 sets of arms. Now, I'm not the biggest believer in full arm days because your arms
Stop. Man lie. Man say, me no like arms, me no train arms, me no do all heap of volumes. He man train him arms every other day. Although at 12 sets everything come out, but come on. I mean know him train chest, so him tricep I get work this, and him train back, so him bicep them I get work too. And me know him train shoulders too. Even if him not training to get work. Yo, me thinking man they say, yo, I like once a week me train arms and this and that. He man say every other day and then he talk about I really like arms, I'm not really train arms. Let me show you how I go on. Brother, you're them big and everything. Congrats. But no can go on like say you don't train arms.
don't really need that much volume to grow anyway, and especially when you're trying to get them stronger at a specific exercise, the more volume is pretty much just making you weaker. So the first tip is to prioritize your triceps over your biceps because
Wait. The day, every other day. Is that volume or is that frequency? Either way, I'm training all you.
because as we all know, the triceps take up 2/3 of your arm's mass over your biceps. Also, you can never have too big of triceps because triceps pretty much have the best strength carryover to any upper body exercise. So typically when I work on my triceps, I would start off with a press and then an extension. At the moment, my favorite choice is the JM press. Just like the chest, I treat it as if it's a bench press. I tend to go really
Oh man, pause the video every 2 seconds. Tricep help with abs exercise. Because I'm not training abs, so I don't know. When I do the ab exercise, the tricep help. Alright, tricep help when you do your chest exercise then. What is the pain upper body? Tricep not help when you do nothing with back. And tricep help with pull-ups, maybe. Which part is tricep would I help? Yo, me just a nitpick. Let me play a video, man.
heavy on my triceps and then lay off a little bit when I train my biceps. Just for good measure because you don't really want to train with the same rep range so you can keep your workouts a little more interesting. Now usually when you do train with a little higher volume, you do tend to pyramid down in reps, but since we are working with a lower volume, well, we're going to stick with the same rep range for pretty much every single set. The overhead extension is probably my favorite tricep exercise. We're going to do 2 sets, 6 to 10 reps, going pretty low rep range. So it's more of like a shoulder press rather than an actual like extension. And me personally, I like to keep everything in the same rep range because it's just a lot easier progressive overload, because if you're constantly changing up the rep range every single set, I mean, you can't really tell if you're progressing or not. And the next tip is to keep your exercise selection to a minimal, and what I mean is just keep your exercises simple. I mean, you can pretty much just get away with a standard dumbbell curl and a standard dumbbell French press because you can basically build muscle through any exercise as long as you find it enjoyable. I think nowadays people stress a lot over what's an optimal exercise or not, whether it targets the long head or the short head.
Dumbbell French press. What is a dumbbell French press? What is a dumbbell French press? Oh, that's the tricep thing. Just call that over a tricep extension. I guess they're gonna have different name.
Head, but realistically, it doesn't really matter. So yes, if you do a preacher curl, it will target the short head a little more than the long head, but the emphasis on the short head is pretty minimal, so realistically, there probably won't be much of a difference. So personally, I would just stick with an exercise that you actually enjoy and can push to failure with. So usually when I do train my arms, I basically just alternate in between an exercise that gives me a good stretch and an exercise that doesn't really feel good to me, but I can definitely bust out a bunch of reps on, mainly for strength purposes. Sometimes you don't have to be all science-basy and just stick with the old style compound lifts. We got 110 pounds on the easy bar, and we're gonna go for one all-out set. For hopefully around like 5 to 8 reps. A lot of people think that like you need to go higher reps when you train your arms, but sometimes if you're fat like me, then you don't really need 10 reps. Now, I personally think that mind-muscle connection is important, but I don't really think that it's significant enough to the point where you have to lower the weight to actually feel the muscle. This honestly just prevents you from progressive overloading and going heavy, and I've pretty much always just been a firm believer of going extremely heavy on your arm exercises, and a little cheating is fine, but at some point you kind of have to understand the fine line between ego lifting and lifting with intensity. I say for biceps or just like arms in general, there is kind of like an exception to cheating, like just a little bit, maybe in your form. As long as it's not like too much.
Strict. No cheating. I draw my mic. A little bit, as him say. Just like on the last one, just to get up the last one there, but form always strict for you. Is it strict or is it just good form? Strict sound too strict, you know? Good form.
So since I train with relatively heavy weight, most of my rep ranges will stay around the 4 to 10 rep range. Now I know a couple of you guys might...
Same. What I say probably like 5 to... More like 5 to 8. Yeah. 5 to 8.
I questioned this saying, you know, you're only getting 4 reps on an arm exercise, I mean, you might as well just watch paint dry. A lot of people think that getting low reps on an isolation exercise is practically useless, but the muscle only knows failure, it doesn't necessarily know rep ranges. So if you're getting 4 reps on a set, that's completely fine. There is no perfect rep range to maximize growth. I've personally been using the 4 to 10 rep range for a long time now, and I'd say it's definitely worked better than the 8 to 12 for me. Now, one of the best changes I've ever made to increase...
Pause again. That's like, I don't think nothing more than if you say. Fitness wise. I know what people like misinformation out there and thing, but me hear that same line there so much time. The muscle no rep range, the muscle only no failure. Like why is the fear telling people them? It's just up to you now if you pick sense out of nonsense, and cause nothing else not left to tell. I don't think nothing more did if you discover in a fitness dog. I think it done, brother. Man, them just a shot and a ground in a circle. First them say, yo, stretch no matter. The this matter, them come back around, yo, the stretch matter. And now them are gonna say, yo, the stretch no matter. Like them just a go in a circle, them just a give this information, yeah. Give the opposite, give, and I just say it. So I just you have to pick something where you like and just go with it, cause I just the same thing them are gonna say over and over. I don't think nothing more than if you had dog. If you wait, eat some food, go to bed, repeat.
increase my arm size is to switch from free weights to cables. What I really like about the cables is that gravity doesn't pull the cable down, so this means that you can push your sets way harder on a cable. Because even when your last rep looks like this, who knows, you probably still have another like 2 to 3 reps left. And my personal favorite 2 exercise to use on a cable is the overhead tricep extension and the Bayesian cable curl. Pair those 2 up on the same day, oh my god, you'll ascend to heaven. Those 2 exercises have to be like undoubtedly the goated arm exercises ever.
So when it comes to bicep exercises, you can't really tell what's better than another one. It's kind of like having children. You know what I mean? It's like, none of them are like necessarily better than the other, unless there's a reason to be, which is why we have favorites. Two all-out sets of 6 to 10 reps. I'm definitely gonna need to lower the weight. Holy fuck.
Another big training tip that I add into my training, which is honestly pretty underrated considering that a lot of people don't do this, is adding tempos to your training. Now, as basic as it may sound, yes, this may seem like Gym 101, you know, control the eccentric all the way down, but you actually do not understand how important this actually is when it comes to training your arms. And you can't really progressive overload on them every single time you train them, so making ways to make your training hard, it's gonna humble you so hard, that's really all I gotta say. Most people skip this and they'll end up just doing a bunch of reps with inconsistent control, and at that point you're basically just making it hard for yourself to progressive overload. For free weights, I would typically have a 3-second eccentric, pausing at the bottom for 2 seconds, and when you do this, your biceps will start screaming, I can guarantee you that. A lot of people think that it makes the exercise way too hard to progress on, and well, that's because it is. When you're training at the gym, you always want to challenge yourself. You always want to do the hard stuff, but it doesn't always mean do as much weight as you possibly can. It's about your capability of putting the muscle through failure, which brings me to my next tip. Take everything to or beyond failure. Now, I don't mean leaving 1 rep in reserve, I mean literally going until your muscle can't lift the weight anymore. Your arms are one of those tricky muscle groups where you don't know how many reps you have left, so always strive to push another rep. I promise you, you can probably get it. Implementing partial reps is extremely important. I think when I started doing them, I went from curling the 40s all the way to the 50s in like 3 months. And I like to end off my arm training with 1 all-out set of hammer curls just to get some brachialis work in. However, I don't actually directly train my forearms unless it's for pure strength purposes like farmer carries or dead hangs.
That meaning for training my forearms. We're just boring, dog. Need for training my forearms. I train them someday.
But other than that, I don't really train my forearms. And this is because they'll probably just grow along with your biceps anyway. And hammer curls are actually one of those few exercises where it emphasizes squeeze more than the stretch, so
that, I don't do no hammer curl, dog. I don't know why people like it, you know that to me. Probably some of that I need to do. But I don't do hammer curls at all. I couldn't tell last me do one. Probably need to do some. Probably need to do some hammer curls.
Typically, I'll hold the top for about 2 seconds when I'm using dumbbells, cable, whatever. And finally, the last tip I can give you guys is to just trust in the process, trust in yourself, trust in your training. Stick with the same exercises and volume, and your muscles will grow because you can overload them by tracking them consistently. Now, a huge mistake that I used to do in the past is just constantly changing my workouts, my rep ranges, my exercises because of what I saw on social media, and it was just a very bad habit of mine. Now, the problem with doing this is that when you're constantly changing stuff up in your workout, it's kind of hard to see if
the problem in doing that is people chat too much, dog. As I say, everything already out there. You have to pick the sense of the nonsense. And just stick with what work for you. And with not if sometimes if it not work, dog, if you like it, just do it. Unless you have like a concrete goal, say, yo, may I get this by this? But dog, do what you want to do if it work.
You're progressing or not in the gym, and you can't really progressive overload because you can't track it properly. Just listen to your body.
Not gonna hurt yourself or nothing, though. I'm just, do what you want to do, but not hurt yourself.
Train hard and keep everything
or hurt yourself. That do anything you want.
Consistent, and I will guarantee you that your arms will grow in no time. Now, at the end of the day, yes, it is mainly just a genetic indifference, so it is kind of unfair. You can't really have 20-inch biceps when you're 15 years old or whatever. But I mean, as long as you're training hard and you enjoy training, then who knows? Maybe you'll have like 20-inch gunners.
Believe. Alright. That's
And
it.
before
That's
the
it.
video ends, it's time for one last shameless plug. Make sure you join the show.
So that was the video. Something calm, something like, Alright.